We are going to call this meeting to order. This is the February meeting of the Ways and Means Committee. We will do a roll call of members. Counselor Bottomley is absent. Counselor Sibenson Alves.
Here.
Counselor Williams.
Here.
Counselor Webb. Here. And I am here as well. We also have the mayor and the finance director present. If it doesn't work. I would take an approval of minutes of the December 2016 meeting.
So moved.
And second.
Thank
you.
Sorry.
All in favor? Yes.
Aye.
Yeah. Aye. And then there is public comment. If we do have anybody online, you can put it in the comment section.
Please on.
Okay, great. But I think I was just thinking on the right here that if anybody does come on, or if anybody joins us late, because I don't know if anyone went to the city hall by accident, I'll take public comment at the end too, if that is needed. We have no public hearings, and we have a motion. Oh, great, my Wi-Fi. We have I loaded everything to the pages and now they disappeared. We have a motion to approve $706.04 for payment of 2 invoices from fiscal year 2025, paid from fiscal year 2026 Central Services Copy Machines account. And that is FY 26-078. The City Council, upon recommendation of Mayor Disorder, move that it be ordered to approve the payment of 2 prior year invoices for FY 25 dated 6/11/25 and 6/18/25 respectively for CBS Xerox totaling $706.04 to be paid from FY 26 Central Services Copy Machines account number 01001910.5274. I will take, is there discussion? Does anyone have any questions or? Okay, great. All in favor? Aye. Unanimous. And then we will go to adoption of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 44, Municipal Finance, Section 32, submission of city budget to City Council, procedure for approval, rejection, or alteration. Let's go to that document. And I apologize. When you asked me if there was like a context or history to this, I thought you were just like reading through the Massachusetts general laws. And so I was like, there must be a history to why we have a law, but I don't know it. But then when I looked at the agenda, there is a history to this. And so before I read the motion, actually I'll read the motion, then I'll tell you the history. So order number FY 251-107, the City Council moved that it be ordered that the Greenfield City Council accept Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 44, Municipal Finance, Section 32, submission of city budget to the City Council, procedure for approval, rejection, or alteration attached as Exhibit A. There was a lot of attachments in this, and so the basic history of this is that I can't remember what year it was, but a long time ago, the Massachusetts general law adopted this chapter 4, section 32. And we also adopted, we wrote into our charter basically the same thing. What we never did as a council, like way before our time, is we never like voted to adopt the Massachusetts general law, which we don't really have to do, and our charter supersedes it. So like whatever we wrote in our charter, if it differed from this, our charter would supersede it, but our charter says the same thing. The reason why we are voting on this before we get to budget season is because there has been 2 times in recent memory since I have been on the council, when Ginny was on the council, that this has come up where the question of like, what can the city council, how can the city council reduce and increase the budget, has come up twice. And the question is really about like, can we increase the school budget, the school department's budget, and how? And so twice now we've paid for a legal opinion, for the legal opinion to say the same thing, both times, like 2 years apart. They said the same thing, like, yes, it's Massachusetts general law. Yes, it's written into your charter. Yes, the city council never voted to adopt this. And the legal opinions were basically like, we don't have to because it's written into our charter. But we are now going to adopt this to dot all our I's and cross all our T's and say, yes, we adopt this thing that's Massachusetts general law, even though it is written into our
Charter already.
charter already.
This just puts it to bed.
This puts it to bed. And so, well, you know, hopefully we won't pay for another legal opinion on this same issue. I will take discussion, obviously, or any questions that I can potentially answer.
Okay, question.
Yeah.
So, from my understanding from what's been said, this does not alter the way we would be doing business.
No,
It just codifies it yet again.
it's another line of,
Peachy.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And, okay, oh, we have somebody in there. They just go in, I guess. That's great.
Oh, actually, I just admitted.
Oh, you can admit them from there. Great. So,
That's me.
no, but then over here, and I'll just say, Stephanie, for you, since some folks might not have known that the meeting was here tonight, I'll take public comment again at the end. If you want, you can put your name in the chat, and happy to have public comment at the end.
Thank you.
So, great. Is there other questions or concerns or thoughts on this issue? Okay. Any, like, nothing's
I
a
mean-
stupid question.
Well, and does somebody kind of want to just summarize what it is that we're talking about, just for the sake of like, you know?
Yeah.
Transparency.
So basically what it does is section 32 of the law lays out the ways in which a city government in Massachusetts proposes the budget for the year. There's a bunch of different things that are laid out in there that talk about when things can be proposed and when votes are taken and how, and recommendations and provisions. And the part that's been in question for us specifically in Greenfield is the section that talks about the school budget. And I'm trying to find the exact section of it. Let me just see. I'm gonna see if it, so, Hold on, here's the city council. Here's the charter section.
I think I have it if you want me to.
Oh, yes, please, please.
The city council may by a majority vote with appropriations for the purposes recommended and may reduce or reject any amount recommended in the annual budget. It shall not increase any amount in or the total of the annual budget, nor add thereto any amount for a purpose not included therein, except on recommendation of the mayor and except as provided in section 33. Provided, however, that in the case of the school budget or in the case of a regional school district assessment, the city council, on the recommendation of the school committee or on the recommendation of a regional school district committee, may by a 2/3 vote increase the total amount appropriated for the support of the schools and for the regional district schools over that requested by the mayor, and provided further that no such increase shall be voted if it would render the total annual budget in excess of the property tax limitations set forth in section 21C in chapter 59, except as otherwise permitted by law. All amounts appropriated by the city council as provided in this section shall be for the purposes specified in setting up an appropriation. I'm going to go on, but I think I'm going off script now, not just continuing to read, but I didn't question that. I think that that's what the statute says. The question was whether or not the city council needed to adopt it or not.
Right.
Although it was mentioned in the charter, I think I agree with the substance, as you probably agree with the substance.
And the charter, so the city charter says basically the same thing. Based on this grant of authority, the council may, by a 2/3 vote, authorize additional funding for the support of schools to the extent the council seeks to exercise any such authority. It should be pursuant to a written or formal propose for such an additional authorization. Additionally, there must be room within the levy limit imposed by Proposition 2.5 for such additional tax revenue and spending for the purpose of this opinion. Oh, that goes on to the opinion. So that's the section in the charter. So they're basically saying the same thing. The question has been like, do we have to, don't we have to? And so now, before we get to budget season again, we are now formally adopting. That's what this order does, is have us formally adopt Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 44, Municipal Finance, Section 32, which says basically the same thing as our charter in different words.
So voting on this doesn't change anything, and our legality is.
Welcome to City Council. Voting on this changes nothing.
Asking questions.
Yes, voting on this changes nothing. All it does, hopefully, is clarify for the future that this, yes, the city council by no question has the right by Massachusetts general law and by charter to do this. And we have adopted,
Any more lawyer money on it?
yeah.
I have kind of a content question. It's
Yeah.
Just,
Requested in the kitchen.
why this specific, the issue of the schools and not, generally like, sorry.
Like, why can we increase the school budget
Yeah,
and
what-
nothing
what-
else?
What was the purpose originally behind that?
State.
Yeah, I don't
At
know
the
why
state
the
level.
state,
Probably whoever wrote that. I'm just gonna say what I think, okay?
Yeah.
I wasn't there when they wrote the law, but I know, I mean, my whole life, I've been to like town meetings, like since my kids were little. And, you'd go and that would be the one part where every parent in America would come, I grew up in Bedford, they'd all call and then everybody would come. That was a part of the budget that I just would say that many times in a community, communities are interested in that. I think personally that all parts of the budget, I know that now from being mayor, we need all parts. But I would imagine that that's why it got to that, because also the other part, this is just a guess, but the school budget is just a large part of an overall budget. I hear that a lot, like, look, I thought that it costs a lot to educate children. So perhaps the people that put it together saw that, you know, in some instances, that was what was looked at. I don't know why it came to be, but I can understand it. And, you know, personally, I think, you know, to consider each one is very important.
And I'd say the two time, just the fact that this has come up 2 times in 4 years, where there has been like a budget override, that, or hasn't, like that issue has come up, like, do we increase or do we not increase the school budget, has come up and has gone to vote on city council floor, means that, you know, it's an area where people want there to be like another checks and balance
Yeah.
beyond just like a mayor having full authority. Also, lots of towns have different structures of like how much power a mayor has versus a city council. And so it could have something to do with that in terms of like it being a state law.
Could I say one more thing about
Yeah.
that? So actually, in last year, I'm just going to speak specifically to last year. I thought I was asked to increase that by $350,000. And I said no, because of the money that was in the revolving accounts. I felt that the money was there, and that because they had $5 million in revolving accounts. So there was, and I thought they definitely, you know, and so that's why things come up. We'll be talking about revolving accounts another night.
Any other questions on this one? Okay, I think all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now we go to the fun stuff. Okay, so we didn't get anything on certified free cash bond rating or health insurance. Is there updates on those things, or are we still waiting?
Still waiting.
We're still waiting.
But we did have a meeting today with the health insurance folks. And their first estimate,
Ambulance one, respond to primary ambulance.
the first one I heard
Main Street.
like a few weeks ago was a 15% increase. Today's was 19.4, which would mean a $2 million cost to the city. And, you know, then there was discussion about deductibles. We're going to have one more meeting with the insurers, but it is like, it's horrifying. And on the bond council, like, we're gonna meet with them as soon as the 24 audit is
Yep.
completed, correct? And the free cash is not yet certified. We have till March 13th. So.
Okay, great.
So
So
I
for
don't know,
next,
I don't know what that is. I don't think it's gonna be an enormous amount.
yeah,
That's my guess. I kept hoping it was gonna be like, you know, close, you know, like $1.75 million, but I don't think it's gonna be that good.
No, I don't.
So we're gonna have to pay back probably what we had in stabilization and something else. So that's the update on it. There wasn't really anything to say, so I didn't write anything.
okay. I will put those on for next meeting so that,
That's certainly, next meeting, I hope it'll be in all the news. Yeah.
I have a couple questions.
Yes.
Since I watched those videos. I was left with the question of like, what is like, in terms of like the budget process, what's the timeline of free cash? Like in the city, like departments keep track of their free cash and then report it to you, and then you have to submit it by September, and then it comes back. And so this year we're using, I guess then like which fiscal year does the cash belong to, and whose does it get used in?
That's a good question.
No, that's an excellent question. So basically, we're a year behind with the DLS, so we report a year behind. So this is 25. So whatever's left over in 25 then gets certified, and then you can use it in 26.
Starting in July.
Exactly. So it would be, you know, well, actually 27 is when, yeah.
Yeah.
that'll be the
Yeah.
27 budget.
Makes sense.
And on the timing, so the books, the year ends on June 30th. And nobody really ever closes their books to like August, I think it's 15th or 17th is the first date. And then they give you, and we had a lot of new folks in, plus there was just some other things, but at any rate, that's like every year that I was on council and every year that I've been doing this, you'd usually be like October to November. That's when you usually hear what the dollar amount is. And sometimes it's been as much as 3 million, which I don't know if that's that good, but we didn't use that in this year's budget. And if there was that left, like the first year that I came in was that left, then you could put it in to some of your stabilization funds and use it for some of the bigger projects.
And at this point, do you know if there's any of the like payback things we need to hit first before we can put things into funds?
So we, I think you all voted on, like $850,000 out of stabilization to fund different budgets, like the energy budget was over, it will be over again this year. The fire department was over. I'm trying to remember some of the other big ones that
Was it the floor at the dump? Was that part of it?
Yeah, I thought the
Yeah, that
transfer
was
station
not,
was.
that we took out of capital stabilization.
Oh, okay.
But because this, I do want to explain this because I think it's important. Normally, you would not really totally be aware of where every single budget was at the end of the year because, and I might have the dates wrong, but I think it's like May 1st or May 15th to June 30th. You actually can legally move money around within the budget for, like if like the fire department was short on like overtime, but there was extra in the ambulance revolving. That was too bad that we had to take that out of that. And when you looked at that whole list that was given, there were many departments that hadn't spent all of their money. So we could have taken from one to the other and it all would have been like even. But instead, because the deadline had passed with the Department of Local Services, there was no more moving anything around after what time was that?
That was August, September.
Yeah, after August and September, you couldn't do that. So if you were short in one line, you just had to say that, even though there was something left in somebody else's.
But you can move money from May 1st till the end of June?
I think it's May 1st or 15th.
May, June, July, and August basically is when you can kind of move
Money around?
money
Right.
around, yeah. And what generally should happen is that, okay, so you have overage in the fire department and underage in the police department. So you make that transfer and then sometime in October, that should come to you guys and you say, okay, well, I see you made that transfer and kind of second check in or vote on it. Some Ways and Means will vote on it. Others will just say, thank you and have questions
I
about
think
it.
you're supposed to be notified.
Well,
Go ahead.
no mean to,
No, no, by all means.
but. So we're talking about May, June, July, and August, but the budget ends June 30th. So which budget are we playing with? With this?
25.
25.
Because you have a period of time to like close your books.
I see. Okay, fine.
Yeah, so it's like, it's.
So it kind of it's not really June 30th. It kind of stretches,
Yes.
the moving around goes beyond that.
Right.
Got it.
And
So
today's,
like
bill-
just to reconcile though.
I get it.
Yeah, okay.
I get it.
today's bill that you just voted on, as you had to vote, and you'll have to vote in city council, and you'll need 9 votes on this a prior year's bill.
Right.
You can see how these things can happen. That bill was actually sent on June 18th. It was a bill that was sent on June 18th of 25.
Right.
And by the time it, by the time it was going to be paid, it was in the next fiscal year. So any prior year's bills
Yes.
have to go to city council so that you're voting in this year
Right.
a prior year's bill. We tell everybody to try to get their things all closed out but sometimes you're not getting an invoice from somebody.
Right.
Or something, so, you know, everybody's like, they, usually accounting starts telling everybody, noticing everybody, like, wrap it up, don't buy any more things this like
Right.
last couple of weeks so that that won't happen. Because it's kind of a pain in the neck. You have to do a fiscal order, you probably have to read it twice, you have 9 people to vote on it. And really, it was for, you know, copying things, and it just came at the end of the year.
Right.
So,
Does it get taken out of that year's budget or the year that you're voting on's budget? Or sorry, the year that you're in?
yeah,
Yes.
it has to be taken out, because that one we're done, we can't touch any more money that happens.
That
in that.
record is closed out.
That was
This
closed
goes
like
into here.
August 17th, I think is like the final deadline for doing any of that.
Okay.
Pretty close to August 17th.
Any other free cash questions?
No, I think they're great questions, because I was always wondering, why did we have this extra, why, because they call it free cash. You know, it sounded like we had this whole lot of pack of extra money, and why did we have it? I actually cut people's budget so much last year that I think there wasn't as much, you know, so.
Do we often have to use free cash to pay on partially deferred taxes?
Mostly free cash is used to go into, in all the years that I've been doing this, you put it into stabilization accounts. A lot of it generally goes into capital stabilization, because there are so many capital projects that should be done within a city. There might be culverts to fix or a big truck to buy. So a lot of it goes into that capital stabilization. Right now, I think we have about $750,000 in there. That's just an estimate. I haven't looked lately. And then we take some of it and put it in another fund, usually called compensated absences, and another fund called contract stabilization. Can I go on for a second?
Yeah.
I won't be door. So contract stabilization, usually we make, and there is money in there right now in case there was a group is settling a contract and they didn't have enough in their budget for maybe for the year that they were in, you know, and so we want them to get that, so we put money aside. That's what contract stabilization is, to help when settling a contract. I don't know what all the rules are on that. And then the compensated absences is actually something that's really important, because if we have somebody that's been particularly in police or fire that has been there for a long time and they're retiring, there's a huge payout. You know, they might have hundreds of hours of vacation, or, and we used to have something called time bank, which we don't have anymore. So since I've been in, you know, somebody that had a buyout that was like $135,000, nobody could absorb that in the budget.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just love talking about numbers, and I think like other people don't find it as interesting as I do. I'm like meant to be in.
I'm just having fun.
Yeah, well, get ready, guys, because
Yeah.
the next topic on our agenda is to talk more about the budget process for fiscal year 27. And we have a presentation by the mayor and our finance director.
So, and I brought 2 books that you could share just in case you're better, like we're gonna put it up on the screen. But just so you'll see, these, I guess you 2 could share your book, but it'll be up on the screen anyways. And, just so you get used to, like, this is the budget book, and at the very beginning is the recap, which is, if you understand the whole recap sheet, you'll get the whole budget.
Do we get one of these?
You're gonna get
Oh,
one of
yeah, you'll
those.
get one.
The first thing that you get, it will be emailed to you
Well, we'll see,
electronically
but-
by April 22nd.
Did
And
a pretty thorough.
Stephen and I were there last year until like 11:30 trying to get it in, and then we have to get it in by the deadline, and you're trying to add and make sure everything adds up, so we get it in electronically, and then we send it off to the jail, and they do the printing and, you know, poking those little things together. So we get a copy for every city councilor, because it's actually much easier to look at it on, yeah, So anyways, for those of you who want to look at it on the screen, all right, the screen is behind you. I didn't really know, we had so many screens. Oh, it's over there as well, okay?
Sure have.
Um,
Can't control the screens.
okay, so as you can see, these 2 pages have the most information of anything in them. And if you understand them, you get the whole thing. Very top line, it says the operating budget, and you can see for fiscal year 26, the operating budget was $66,502,975. And that was the sum of all departments, including the school budget. So the school budget plus every department's budget, plus all of the things like our Maya insurance, our retirement, our health insurance, life insurance, all the benefits for the folks in the city. All of those things together make up the $66,502,000. Underneath that is Prop 2.5 exempt debt service. That figure there, you're gonna see it's gonna be the same figure, that 1,402,125, that is for the high school. That was borrowed outside of, it was a debt exclusion. That how you call it, debt exclusion, right? So we voted on that in 2014. We are gonna be paying that dollar figure right there. That's that every year until 2035. After 2035, we're in great shape because almost so many things end after 2035, but we still owe that every year, okay? So these are all the things that we have to raise, the first half of it, okay? So that's the operating plus the exempt. The current year overlay, I never really understood that. They used to talk about what the overlay was. That's a reserve fund that is for assessing. And that pays for all the exemptions, the senior tax work-off, and abatements on real estate taxes. We increased the number of people who can do the senior tax work-off from 20 to 25 people. They can earn up to $2,000. We've increased the exemptions that people can get for taxes because people are really hurting to pay their taxes. Additionally, every person who owns property has a right to argue that they do not feel like what they were assessed for is the correct amount. And this is really an important thing for you guys to know, because if you are talking to one of your constituents and they're like, my assessment was so high, you should be able to tell them, put in for an assessment. But the thing is, the due date that they have to put in for an assessment by is February 1st. That's a really tight turnaround, and I feel like every counselor should know that because, yes.
Assessment is different than abatement.
Assessment is what your house is, where your property is valued at.
So you can file for a reassessment.
You would file for an abatement. You're saying, I think that is too much, and you explain on this paper why you think it's too much. You could talk about your neighbor's house or another house that was similar to yours that was less, and put some justifications in it, and then you can put a number in. And then this year there are 77 people about and businesses that have put in for abatements. And our Board of Assessors, they meet a couple of times a month. They're very busy at this time of the year because they take their job seriously. And it's very important how they vote on those abatements, especially if there are commercial ones that are putting in. We have a few of them, and they're putting in, they might be asking for a huge dollar amount back, right? So that $400,000 covers that. But how do we pay for it? We have to raise that. The next 4 things: state assessments, state qualified debt, school choice sending, and charter school sending. 3 out of 4 of those are listed on the cherry sheets. We're all waiting right now we're waiting for the cherry sheets to come out. The cherry sheets are out with what the governor has proposed. So the governor has proposed what we will spend, what Greenfield will be charged for school choice sending, what we will be charged for charter school sending. And as you can see, those numbers are relatively high. They're even higher this year because we have many children that choice out and many children that go to the charter school. The state assessment is for four other things that you might think are free. Like everybody says, we have free, you can ride the FRTA for free. But actually, that's really not true. It is true that people can get on and ride for free, but we are charged a local regional transit. And it's over $200,000 what we charge, but that helps other people pay for that. There's an air pollution. I forget what our air pollution fee is, but that's to DEP for monitoring our air quality. So they're like things that the state pays for. The RMV non-renewal, you'll see this coming up. That's higher than a couple of other municipalities that we're compared to. That's for, it pays for vehicle violations that people did not pay for. And we actually, as luck would have it, we have more of those than, some other municipalities. And then there's also a charge for special education for if we had a child that we were educating who was in, it looked like it was a state hospital. When I hadn't seen that before, it's like this year, it's going to be like 20,000. So those are all the things. So all those things together add up to 75 million. And 10,228. So Stephen, scrolling down, you can see the cherry sheet receipts, and I'll show you those what they actually are for this year. But the cherry sheet receipts last year were 427,635. So that's this is on the plus side. Also on the plus side are the indirect costs for the 3 enterprise funds. They're on the plus side because they've already been paid. Is that the way you would say it? Like they're paid through the enterprise funds.
Yes,
They're paid through the enterprise fund, so that's on the plus. The local estimated receipts, that $4 million figure there, that includes our meals tax, our room tax, excise tax, and a whole bunch of other fees like building permits fees. We get those every year. And then the pay as you throw fees, that's where you pay to throw those stickers that you buy to put your trash in. And then parking meter receipts, which I guess annually they think that's $350,000. So I think this year it might be less than that. So that's 28,000, yes.
So this, where it starts estimated revenues, cherry sheets down, that's all stuff that we're getting off the cherry
Yes.
sheets.
Oh, well, this
Or-
whole thing is in the first one is they're coming from the state. The very first part, the cherry sheet receipts, is coming from the state. The next ones, I would say all the next 6 ones are ones that we're really getting from us, but they're pluses. They're pluses. Like all those fees that were collected and your excise tax and room and meals, that's a plus. So that'll come off of the 75 million, okay? And parking meter receipts. So we received money as well as all the money that we need to spend, right? And then, and this is an interesting part, that other available funds. Every year we've put in 100,000 from the OPEB stabilization, and that's gone. There's no more money left in that.
Wait, sorry, before you go on, I guess what
Okay.
I was confused about the pay as you throw fees. Why are they a consistent number?
They're almost like, they're within like 20 or 30,000 every year. They estimate, it's an estimate that you put in there. One year they were like 670,000. And last year I looked, it was slightly over, like 710,000. I guess people probably have about the same amount of trash. You probably have like the same amount of people. I buy a sticker for every week. Does anybody else like that? That's what I buy a big sticker for every week. So pretty much I probably buy like 48 or 50 stickers a year.
Right, but you keep the estimate. You don't go back and put in the actual totals.
No, because when we were when we were doing this budget, we were trying to figure out what fiscal year 26 was gonna cost us. That's the year that we're in. So we were guessing. And when everybody makes their budget, too, they're estimating to the best of their ability what they think that they're gonna spend. And then sometimes like people leave or a position was open, and then you haven't spent that money. So everybody's, it's not like written in stone what it's gonna be, but you don't wanna guess more than you're gonna get in. I tried to go up higher on the local estimated receipts, and Stephen was cautioning me because I wanted to help the taxpayers. And I remember that. And he's like, I don't know. And I said, well, I wanted to go a little higher. And then we didn't do as well. We made what we guessed, but we didn't make more than that, you know? I'm sorry, I was going ahead. Anything else? Did you have anything else on that?
No, that makes sense.
So after that were the things that we add in because I look at it, it's like we add in because it will help you make it. You're just so you know, you're sweating till the end. We were like sweating. This is really how it gets at the end. It's like we're $600,000 short because you're never having extra. Okay. And so, you really don't want to take things out of your general stabilization fund. So we took 100,000 from OPEB stabilization, and then that second vote was meant to say pension stabilization, which is eventually where we took it from, that 200,000. But I would never, ever want to take from the general stabilization just to pass the budget, because if you're not making it, you just got to cut. You know, you just got to say, everybody, hey, here you go. And then free cash frequently is coming into the city, like we talked about, say like in November. And before we've allotted it and have put an order before you to say, hey, I'd like to put this in capital stabilization so we can do sidewalks. You know, we keep some of it in a little pot, but we can't just spend any of that without notifying and asking for your vote. We don't get to spend, it's not like it's sitting there like it's free. And that Stephen and I think that's an important thing to know too, because I used to think that, like, what are they doing with that free cash? We've never spent, we have, since I've been in, and I don't think anybody else probably have done that. You vote, could we pay this from free cash? It certainly is nice if you've got, you know, a couple $100,000 there in case we had some bad things happen, like at the transfer station. Then I could come to you and say, you know, I'd like, you know, we'll say, blah, 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 however it's written out, the mayor would like to get with this money from this money, but it requires a vote. So there's no doing that without asking the city council, which I think is nice to know. So anyways, so now we're gonna go, so that was all. So if you subtract all the money that we got in, all those good things, okay? All the stuff from the cherry sheets and the ret estimates, and what we were putting into the budget last year to make us whole, the total that we had to raise on the tax levy from all the people that got those tax bills that they're saying are too high, was $45,981,143. Okay. And now we're almost done this hard part, but this really is very important. Okay. So, you know, you wonder like, well, how do we figure out? Like, how do we figure out what the tax rate is going to be per thousand? So we just said we have to raise from all the people and all the businesses almost $46 million. Then the assessors had valued every single parcel in the whole city, all businesses, all land that's in chapter, all real estate property, all real estate. And our assessors said it's all worth $2,159,000 when you added them all up. So then you divide one by the other, right? We divide that by the 45, and then we get 2120 was the tax rate last year. So, because at the end of that, oh no, there's one more little part of this, but that's how we get the tax rate. And then we're gonna go on to one other part, this with this 2.5 thing, okay? So, I told you that, remember our number that we could, what was it, 45?
45 units.
Okay,
Excuse me.
so, yes,
Could you just say that one more time
Sure.
in terms of, so the 45, 981, 143, okay, that's what needs to be raised.
yeah, we have to raise that, we gotta tax people for that.
Okay, and then you have the, a value of all the assessed property, which is a little over 2 billion.
Right,
So then what did you divide by what?
we divided the 2 billion by the 45 million, blah, 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 981, okay?
Right.
And
That
that,
equals a tax rate.
right,
Got it.
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
No,
You
no,
divide
this is
the-
really important.
You divide the tax levy by the valuation, not the other way
Yes.
around.
Mhm.
And then you times it by 1,000.
Right,
So it's not like the valuation divided by tax levy, it's tax levy divided by valuation.
and that's when you guys come in, every single November, as long as you're on city council. And it should be November, you will be voting on the tax rate. You're not actually voting on the dollar figure, you're voting on 3 things. Should it be a single tax rate, or should we have a split tax rate? A residential exemption and 1/3 thing. We've never voted for these 2 other things. So I don't remember what's residential exemption and that other 3rd thing that
Oh,
the
yeah.
assessors came before you and they explained. And so the biggest thing that you're voting on is single tax rate. That's always something that people have questioned one way or another. Should commercial be taxed a little higher? Because it's a terrible burden for people to pay their taxes here. And you were watching those DLS videos. There's so much information on the DLS, but one thing that you should know, no matter what the tax rate is or anything, people's bills here, their tax bills are like 21% of their income. That's a lot. So that means that when you get to that next year, that's a consideration. It's almost been a couple of times. And the assessors will come forward and they'll tell you one way or another. It's a really tricky thing to decide, because if you make it easier for the citizens, which I've done the senior tax work off, then the fear is that you would be not friendly to commercial, because we need commercial business. So there's 2 arguments to be made one way or another, and you would hear all of them. There was 1 year in the history of city council, was a year when Isaac was saying that they actually voted to do a single tax rate, and then the entire business community came out one night and they, told all about what would happen to the businesses in the town. And it was that, and they like either re-voted on it and kept it at a single tax rate. So that's a big decision that you'll make. So I'm really glad that you asked about that. That's yeah.
But that's a really interesting thing just to know, like, it's 21%.
And it's not like that in other towns.
Right, but that means that, like, what is the percentage of our town then that's housing cost burden just based off of a tax bill and a mortgage or?
Oh, it's
You know?
huge. It's
It's like over 50% of your
Yes.
income on
It's-
housing.
Well, then you're beyond housing cost burden. You have like an extreme housing cost burden if you're
Right.
50% of your income.
Totally.
Cause like in the city of, like in Richmond, Virginia, this just happened. And they had to raise the taxes
Mhm.
but for anybody who's housing cost burdened, they're getting like a GAP grant from the state, where the state's paying them $1,200 in cash to offset the housing cost burden, which obviously that's state funded money, which we don't have right now to offset. But Yeah, I mean, whatever, we all know.
Well, so we could, there would be no gap big enough, because I would say every single person here is burdened, but
Right.
it is. It's a huge, and it is, there's, I looked at it, it's divided into three. It's like the younger folks, the middle folks, and the older folks.
Yeah.
The least, there was a little variety between them, and some of the seniors were okay because they were doing all right, but there's an awful lot of seniors that aren't. I think it was maybe the middle group that was the most tax burden, but I think everybody pretty much here, it's tough. And in many, you'll see one coming up. In many towns, it's not like that. They have more than enough. But here, it's really, really tough. So, I don't think we should make any of those decisions lightly, but we have jobs to do.
Yeah, but isn't it true that because the assessments changed here?
Yeah.
That in fact, the assessors made sure that the commercial property was in fact assessed correctly now? That in fact, that there has been some shift
Mhm.
towards business in a fair way.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still burdened. I mean, the residents is still burdened,
Right.
but there's a shift that has happened, moving in a better
Moving
direction.
in the right direction,
Yeah.
that's what I will say, and I keep, I've asked all three of the people on assessing, I said, if you see something that's happening here, make sure you let Christina know, because she doesn't live here in town. And somebody brought up a new grocery store that just opened a little while ago, and we pulled the permits on that, and we're reevaluating that, because that kind of flew through the radar with I'm not gonna say what it was, but the permits didn't represent exactly what that was. We try not to miss a trick with that, because still in all, I want the businesses to survive,
Right.
but it's like you're looking at like an individual person, you don't want them to lose their place.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So I guess I felt a little confused because I've gotten constituents email me
Yes.
saying, I've got $800 or 8,000, like whatever plus more. I guess like I know that like Greenfield has a higher tax rate than most places.
Right.
But we don't have the highest tax bill, which is frustrating. That being said, I thought like, I guess like hearing whenever the assessors were at city council last year, we got a lower tax rate this year, but people's bills still were higher.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so I think maybe some people feel confused. Like, I think it seems like it's like, it could have been worse. We did something like to stop it from being worse, but like, it still sucks.
Yeah.
So the best thing can be, where it's really the fairest, is if everybody is assessed at the actual value of their home or very close to it. I am well aware of several, or maybe many streets that were brought up because they were well below what they were.
Island Park,
Huh?
Island Park.
Highland Park was, were some in the meadows that there could be very, very many abatements coming from that area, but the houses in that neighborhood, they were selling for, high 4s or 5s, and they had been valued, at 280,000. So if you get everybody, I'm hoping that next year will be better, because I've actually talked to people. I have a 2-bedroom condo, and mine is valued at, I think, $350,000, and it's been valued high for that amount of time. I said, I'll sit down with the assessors, but everybody should be valued at what they're selling for. If in their neighborhood they're selling for 400, you should be assessed for 350. Absolutely, you could be assessed for 375, but it's what they're going for, and that's what she's working on. But I'm glad, because there were a lot of people, and that's where people will come to you all the time. That's why you should know it's February 2nd. You should ask them, and I would look like on that street, were there any recent?
Oh, I did. I know it was, I mean, like Myers Farm Lane is what I'm
Yes.
talking about.
Right.
And it all looked relatively the same, but then I guess something about the land being sold to the charter school made it a thing. I guess the other side of that coin is, at least personally, like this is just my own personal, like what I thought was going on was like, oh, like there was so much talk about getting businesses up to the correct valuation. And I don't know, I guess I just was walking around thinking, great, home taxes are gonna be a little lower and businesses are gonna be a little higher, and that's not what happened.
No, I actually agree with your statement, and I think we're working on that, and I thought I was calling Christina over the weekend with building permits on one and on another one, to make sure that that is always done, is what ends up being fair. And you can look up and down. You look at your own and then look and see what maybe a building is, you'll get the hang of it. But the goal is to make it all fair. And then if this was all valued at what it's supposed to be, the actual tax, the tax rate would be lower. Doesn't mean, depending on what they were assessed for, what their bill would be.
So next year, fingers crossed, it looks better.
Yes, next year. Next year,
Has
as
to.
far as that goes, it'll look better. As far as doing the budget, I'm petrified.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm gonna tell you that right now. I'm just absolutely like, yeah, but Stephen and I are not gonna quit. We talked about it today. And, that actually came up today. And I said,
Thank you, guys.
so let's
I have to ask all the questions.
Let's go back to that one little piece. Okay. So right here, I just want you to understand this Prop 2.5. Prop 2.5 is based on the previous year. So last year, the total amount was 43. The total budget was 43,725,546. Because of Prop 2.5, what that means is you cannot increase the tax rate more than 2.5% of that 43 million figure. And that 2.5% of that was 1,093,000. And you can add that plus any new growth. By new growth, I mean like a new grocery store that comes into town, or there's a new building on Silver Street, or somebody puts on a big addition, or any new building that there is. That is where you get your new growth. So we are not allowed to tax higher than that. And last year, as you can see, our maximum allowable tax levy, like because of adding those two things, plus the debt excluded from Prop 2.5, that was that's the high school, right?
That's high school, yeah.
That's the high school. So, but the levy limit last year was 45,243. And the maximum allow, I guess, then you add the. Then you add
the debt exclusion, so we could have raised 46.6 million.
Right. So we actually, and that was like, we were bantering back and forth. Was there 350,000 more to go? Yes, there was. Could I have gone up to the top? But I knew that people had to pay their bills. And in my opinion, I said, use your revolvings. If you didn't have the money, I would have said yes. That was an opinion. People could feel one way or another. It wasn't the end of the world, right? Okay, so now we're gonna go on to the next thing. This is really getting easier now. I wanted to tell you I just wanted to point out that it's really important that you look to the end of the book for the bigger charges. Because I used to go through every single thing and say, what are they spending at the library? Or whatever. They could really use an extra person, and the extra person would be like 14, like maybe that would be a $14,000 figure. Or what are they spending on, I don't know, what's the mayor's office spending on dues? That would be, say, like $2,000. You're not going to save us. Well, I mean, you should definitely question anything that you want to question. That's your job. That is your job to do that. But I wanted to point out to you all was that the most important part of the book, or a very important part of the book to be looking at, is the end of the book, where the FERCog assessment is. I forget if I wrote down the page numbers in that. I think it's 180. at pages 180, and this is just important for you to know, because this is where you're gonna be dogging your legislative delegation. And just be aware of what's, and think about it when you're putting on another person. The FERCog assessment, that's like 92,000. I just want to point out that everything is increasing this year. I already know the figure, it's gonna be 98,000. That is for all the benefits and retirement of the people who work for the FERCog. Now go on to the next page, okay? And these two figures are, this is what kills us, this is what is very hard right now. I want you to look at the contributory retirement and what it's done over time. We need to fund the retirement of all the wonderful people that have worked in the city for a long time. Every year that is going up at least $500,000. Last year, this year, the number was like 6,900,000 and something. I've asked Sherry for the figure. I think it's probably going to be 7.5 million, isn't it?
Yep.
It's going to be 7.5 million. So remember how a few pages ago I told you we can go up. We can go up 2.5% plus the new growth. This is why the mayor is worried, because of these pages. So I just wanted to point out to you that these are extraordinarily important, and that when I'm hiring somebody, I'm really thinking about it, because I believe that they should have all the benefits. Like if you have a person who's works for you for a long time, they need their retirement. You have to think about it when you're adding somebody. So that's the contributory retirement and workers, and we're just going to fly through workers' comp. That's another thing that doesn't change that much. But now we're on to the insurance. And if you go down just a little further, you have employee health insurance. And I want you to see what has happened with us over since I have been in office, actually.
183?
Yeah, we're on page 180.
Employee health?
Yeah, employee health, yeah, 183.
Okay.
So all I wanted you to see with this is when we're talking about how difficult it is to balance a budget, just look at what happened last year. From one year to another, or when I came in, the budget figure was, what does that say, 7,900,000, or was that 79?
7,499.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I said, last year it was 10,652,000. We just had them come today, and they were going like 19%. That could mean significant layoffs. And if we have another option that I'm not going to go all into that tonight, because we'll be discussing that with union folks, but we pay 80% of the health insurance. It is a terrible economy, as you know. It's terribly expensive to go to the grocery store. The utilities are off the charts. And this health insurance thing is killing every municipality all over the place. So the best thing that we can do is getting good reps in there to go after them. Yes.
So I hear that you are balancing like employees and layoffs and not hitting the levy limit ceiling. And I know like there is the secret option of overriding Prop 2.5, but that's not something that we've ever really done here. Like, what is your, like, if things just keep barreling terribly, like, do you see a world where you need to use that? Or like, how do you weigh those options out against the layoffs?
I don't think that, number one, I don't think that that would pass. And number two, I don't think people could afford it. I don't think they could afford an override right now. I do not, that's my, you know, and you get a group of 20 people together, they could all disagree on that. But I would not want to be putting that forward at this point. I think that's what I said. I don't think, because next year, like this has happened since we've been in here. It's been 15, 15, and 15. That is not something. So I've met with these health insurance people from the time I came in. Over the past 20 years, it's usually been a 3 or 4% increase. This is not sustainable.
Right.
We live in Massachusetts, where two of our biggest things are health, you know, healthcare and insurance, and education. Okay. So I don't think there's a big appetite actually for going after the insurers. I've actually brought that up to our delegation, and I'm gonna be bringing that up again. We're meeting with Joe Comer for the end of this week. And because I've already called her and I said, that proposal for the tech school, there's no way that Greenfield should be paying that. I mean, that, in my opinion, that the MSBA should just be kicking in 50%. That is not sustainable for the cities and towns that go to the tech school. I believe that we need it. I believe that that was the better choice as opposed to the renovations, because if you build it, you can pay it over 30 years. If you did the renovations, which were half that much, you're going to do it over 15 years. It's a wash for the next 15 years. True, it will only be 15 years as opposed to 30, but one way you get a new building that's needed. And a tech school that's full every year. And we actually need that workforce. There's a lot of students that come out of there that get wonderful jobs with HVAC and welding and veterinary techs, et cetera, et cetera. It's always full. And I went to a meeting on that, and it was Monday night, they were from every town, and every intelligent person there thought that was the way to go. And they were all like, well, to afford that, we have to get an override. And then they were all saying, like, I don't think our towns can pass it. So the thing is, so that's why we've already did a statistical analysis of what the MSBA patched in. If they gave 44% to Weston, they can give 100%. Well, they could give a lot more. They contributed, I think, 80% to our high school, the MSBA, either 75 or 80%. And we have that, we've already sent all of that. Erin actually did the work for it. She knows how to make graphs.
MSBA stands for?
The Massachusetts
School Building Authority.
School Building Authority.
Thank you.
So,
They've actually done some schools, but this was a while back, up to 90%.
Really?
and they need to do 90% here. When you get to the next, we only have 2 more slides. When you get to the next one, you're gonna see, it is not fair. It is so unfair what happens out here that I'm gonna tell you what I'm thinking of doing and you'll get a kick out of it. So that's why it does really matter to get people, and Joe is really gonna go to bat for us, I believe, on that. I was telling her about the issues that we're having, and so she wanted to make a special meeting to come out here. So that's gonna happen this weekend. And they, I've been with them on that. Okay, yes,
Back to the insurance for a minute.
yes. Mhm.
So my understanding is that a large part of these big hikes are about this one drug, the
GLP-1s.
GLP-1 weight loss drugs.
Right.
And 2 thoughts, is there any end in sight to the stabilization of these drugs, or I know, like, on the state level, they're trying to, I know Healy is trying to get it so that that the drugs are not covered, or is anything underway?
Actually, our health insurance, Health New England, it will not cover GLP-1s for weight loss, only for diabetes.
Yeah, after June, and they're making it like after July 1, they were,
Oh,
yeah.
this of 26.
Mhm.
Okay,
Even so.
So-
Look at that.
what, but say for fiscal year 28, is it expected to go down?
I could not believe that it would be another double-digit number.
Is there like precedent for like a new drug hitting the market and insurance going up this much? And this has never happened.
It's never happened because these drugs are so widespread, and then everyone wants them.
Yep.
Because they're helpful. There's no question about it. And so they really had to put in some stopgap measures in order to not fund it, especially at $1,000 a dose or something like that. It's super expensive.
And the fact of the matter is that the drug companies are they're not playing fair. As soon as that drug
$1,000
is
or
off the formula.
That's my question.
No, because they're not that much in Europe or Canada.
You
Like,
take
it's
that
actually
GLP one
$something
off, it's gonna be $45. It will be, you know, if it's $300 right now or $400 right now, they take it off the formulary. It'll be down to 40 if people will be able to afford it. They are trying to make money on the name brand drug. So in my opinion, they are just terrible people. That's all. They're just horrible. And cities and towns, it's terrible. But there isn't, I brought that up. There's a big appetite for the school thing. I don't think doesn't seem like anybody has a big appetite here in Massachusetts with the insurance companies. And I think that's even bigger than, that's kind of a nation. National.
I asked people at at the conference, like what they thought about single payer, and unfortunately, the general consensus was like, that's never gonna happen. And I
Yeah.
just feel like with that attitude, of course, it's.
Well, I mean, you keep you're here and you keep trying, we keep trying things, and if you give up, it's all over. You don't give up.
Right.
But I don't see. I think there are a lot of insurance companies in Massachusetts. That's what I really think. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, but so you have to elect somebody that was willing to really, be willing, that's a tough protocol. They'll go for the school thing, so. All right, so now we're gonna go to the next page where you'll really be mad. This is not in your book. This is from the cherry sheets, okay? I did this. It's a comparison of what these towns get. The cherry sheets, this is what they're allotted in 26, and our projections for fiscal year 27, we don't have this, are already out. So I want you to look at the three towns. Greenfield has a population of 17,600. And we have 1,285 children in our public schools. The average per capita income in Greenfield is $35,425, and the average household income is $55,614. We have a poverty rate of 15.4%. And we get $16 million in Chapter 70. Okay? And we get, what's that bottom number? Can't see that. It's a 4 million. We're going to get 4 million in unrestricted government aid that pays for that helps with all kinds of things within a municipality. We get veterans benefits that really comes in and goes right out to pay for our benefits. But just take a look at those big figures. And now look at Weston, okay? This is where I think I'm actually going to go visit and ask them if they would give us their money. I actually, after reading this, I actually got the names of them and I thought I'd like to be on their agenda. They have a population of 12,000. They have 2,079 students. Their average per capita income is $136,000. Their average household income is $418,972. Their poverty rate is 2.9. And I believe that they don't need their $4 million. And I it is egregious that they are, in my opinion, that they're getting it. One of those people, see the unrestricted government aid that Weston is getting? Maybe one of the families that's making $418,000 just contributed. But you know what the other terrible part of this is? This is the terrible part. In Weston, 82% of the children are proficient or more in reading. And in ours, it is 17 to 19% are proficient in reading. So what that says is that it's wrong. I brought my children up in Medfield. It was an affluent community, and our teachers work so hard. They are fabulous, and our parents work so hard. My children got a different education in a different place, and it is not fair. And I actually was so mad when I did this. I thought I wrote their names down. I'd like to go to a select board meeting and say, I'm the mayor in Greenfield.
Can you give us some money?
We're going to be dead. I believe that I will be dead and buried by the time the funding formula changes for schools. And I'm so cross at this, that I would like to go out and say, I'm the mayor and we have really good kids there and you don't need that. Would you consider giving?
Right, because it's not that our kids are stupider.
No, it is
It's
not.
that we have an inequitable amount of funding for our public
It
schools.
Like
is
just sitting with
With
that.
that, this, you should be outraged.
I'm outraged.
Wellesley has a population of 29,000.
I think about this every time I drive through Harvard, Lexington, like I just think about the tax base. There's a beautiful new school campus.
They don't need their funding. They have a formula, and I thought they don't need it. I would like to go and say, look at our kids. Wouldn't you like our kids to read as well as your kids? I actually thought it was kind of convincing. So I told Jonathan about it. He's the communications person. He goes, I don't think that would work. And then I met with council leadership today, and they both thought I should go. I think John Garrett wanted to go with me.
Yeah.
I'm so cross about it.
He's a
That I
teacher.
just would like to go and say, would you consider? Then I thought, well, even if they, and it would be hard for the elected people to be giving money away to the whole town, right? But I thought maybe if I go, it would get in the news and there would be somebody that would adopt Greenfield that would give donations every year. Because our children deserve to read and do math as well as the children in Weston and Wellesley. So look at Wellesley. In Wellesley, the average per capita income is 112,000 and the average household income is 367,000. Their poverty rate is 4%. They have a lot of children in school. They have 3,832 children in school, and their population is 29,000. I don't think they need their 10 million, okay? And I bet they don't need their unrestricted government aid, but I thought I'd have a better chance going west. That's what I think. So if you could go down a little bit, I want to show you how bad this is, okay? So
What is Greenfield's poverty rate?
15.4%.
But then it's higher if you look at under 18.
Yeah,
That's
yes.
the adult. If you look at under 18, it's like almost 20, I think.
Okay, so now this is the money that they give us, okay? So look at the little public libraries here. Our public library gets 68,000, maybe it's gonna get 68 next year.
65.
Yeah, 65. Do you think the Western Library needs 34,000? I bet it doesn't. I bet someone who's making 112,000 could just donate that. All right? I want to just look at the unrestricted government aid. Okay, it's not that much, but why don't they just give that part up for us? Okay? Why don't they just give that? It could be unrestricted, and I could say unrestricted, give it to Greenfield. All right, now go down a little bit further. This is the other side of the cherry sheets, which if you look on DLS, you have to click on both sides. We get the money, and then we are billed by the state for things as well. Some of them I alluded to, the air pollution and the RMV non-renewal. Just look at the RMV non-renewal surcharge. Okay, folks, it's a poorer community. So our assessment is 30-something thousand. There's more people here that aren't paying their bills. They're not paying they're going through the, on 91 and not paying for whatever it is. Probably because they can't pay for it, right? So they're catching us. I'll go down a little bit further to where it gets really interesting. All right, right here. So you see the regional transit, what's that's gonna cast us next year. And this special education fee, okay, we have somebody that's why that 19,000 is, but look at these two. Guess what? Weston doesn't have to pay anything for school choice. Why? They have these beautiful schools, so not one person leaves. We're be 2,731,000, there's 3 million next year, okay, for school choice sending. Look at those two towns. How many children do you think? It's $5,000. Is that right? $5,000 a person plus educational expenses. How many children out of the 3,832 children in Wellesley do you think choice out? 6 to 8. Because their assessment is 40,000. And isn't this funny? Not one person goes to a charter school. Why? Because their schools are already fabulous. They don't need to, am I not right on that? I mean, I'm sorry, but I'm like, this is egregious. So we not only are getting, like you saw, we're getting 60 million, we're getting charged almost $6 million in assessments. So is that fair? That was what I wanted you to know. And I think it's district-wide, I'm sorry, 18 to 19% of the students are proficient at reading. And in Western district-wide, 82%.
What grade is that assessment taken?
They do them in all different things, and we stopped doing the MCAS, so this was based on 20, I don't know, it was whatever was up on the DESE website, must have been 24.
Yeah, so the big benchmarks are third grade, 10th grade, and then 12th grade.
But overall, by the time our children got into high school, it was better. It was like others. And I think everyone, this is where I was so mad when I did this thing. I thought, I actually wrote their names down. And I thought, I could have, my sisters live there. And I thought, ask them to put me on the agenda and I'll talk about our students. I don't think that we probably get anything, but maybe someone would pick it up. And maybe one of the wealthy people there, would want to be like adopt a family, if they have adopted, that on the highway, they have like adopt a portion of the highway. This is just, it's so wrong. And here's our governor and the lieutenant governor. It's an election year. So if you were running for governor, would you want to tell Wellesley and Weston, we're giving your money?
No, that's the funding
Greenfield?
base.
Well, and it's this, I mean, what you're talking about, Ginny, is wealth redistribution.
Right.
And that's why people don't like wealth redistribution, because people want to move to places where money is concentrated, where they can say, my money's going to stay here in my community. They don't want their money. It's, it's the same like when we had the big fight about taxing millionaires.
But it's not going actually enough where it's supposed to go, even with that.
Right.
So I
love your idea. Like, let's go. We can make a bigger list, like Harvard, Lexington,
I made a
Wellesley.
chart. I said, I showed this to my Ways and
Hingham.
Means Committee, and I showed this to my Ways and Means Committee, and then I can come here and talk about our students. Because I feel like, you know what, I never thought I was a very good speaker. I don't like having a microphone in front of me, but for this,
You're doing great.
I could go talk.
Yeah.
Because I thought, our children have the right to do as well as the others.
Yes.
Our taxpayers are all the people. Do you know how many people we have lined up to do the senior tax work-off? Well, we do 25. I think there was 75. I put my head down like this, okay? I don't want to know exactly how many people signed up that they wanted to do it that we didn't have room for, but you can't give it all away. Like I couldn't say, well, we'll have 75 people because you have to pay the bills. This year, as you can see, I'm really worrying about how we will pay the bills because of two enormous factors. And I just wanted, by all means, go through, it's your job, go through, look, whatever it is. But just know that in the end, last year, I cut $1 million from the city side budget it was 900 something thousand out of different departments. I went through, people hated me. They told me they weren't going to have toner. I said, toner, come to the mayor's office. I cut the accounting budget. And then when they said they didn't have toner, I thought, are we going to have enough for toner? And you want to hear like a funny story? The big printer that we have on the second floor, it ran out of toner. And Patty goes, the admin that works, Patty there, runs out of toner. So she called Fernando. It's like, whoever finds it, that it's out of toner has to replace the toner. And I said, well, everybody's just going to go in and shake it up because they don't want to be charged to their department. It's like $120 for the thing of toner. We owned up to it. We took the hit for the toner because I said, but that's what I did last year. Like I cut, and some of them are over. They're over on, some are over overtimes. It's definitely over on, like all the auto repairs because that's just gone out of sight. Carol's budget will be up on energy. There's nothing she can do about that. We have a couple of buildings that aren't using the perfect amount of energy. In addition to that, the prices, as you know, from paying your bills has gone up. So anyways, like I said, I never want to go on the radio. I hate that. Mary Ann's really good at that. And I never want to go have a microphone in front of me, but I thought I'd go, and I think I'd make a good case with those three people in Weston, because that's a crime. That's a crime, right there.
Let me ask one question on this. So yeah, the millionaire's tax bill, and that was going to education and transportation. So how's that? This is what happened?
It's divvied up, so they divvied up probably along the same, they have a formula.
Yeah.
And you know what, I don't even, like, I've been to meetings where somebody sat and they did the whole formula. I don't need to know every part of the formula. I just know this. I know this. I know what their thing is. I know that formula is wrong. Because in the town where I brought my children up, we don't need state aid. We don't need that,
Right.
we don't need it, because the people in there, you know, they're in the, it's like one of the top 15 towns. Like, we don't need that. They should be sacrificing. This is what life is about. You should be helping a neighbor.
The funding formula makes things like equal, but it needs to be equitable.
Yeah.
Oh,
big
yeah,
difference.
they would say, well, we have to give, look at how many students they have. And I thought, yes, I can see. So Wellesley, because they have 3,000 something students, they get 10 million. But I just go back to their $367,000 is the average household income. Do you really need that?
But why
You have a
wasn't-
2% poverty rate.
Yeah,
Like at that point, your city government could just pay that 2% a direct cash stipend.
Precisely.
Yeah,
So the families are the 2%, you could say we have a 0% poverty rate.
Yes.
Like,
But why wasn't any of that taken into account in the formulation for the
well, just remember how the whole thing, there's more
millionaire's
There's more
tax?
legislators out east because
Yeah.
of the population density.
Right.
So you have all the people together make the rules, okay?
Right.
So if I was out, like if I was the person that was going out there, do you think that everybody from Wellesley and Needham and Weston West would be listening to me? Because they're representing their towns, right? But I know that I'm right. I
But
mean, I
this-
don't often say that, but I'm right on this. This is not fair.
There's a whole lot of poor communities in Massachusetts.
And most of this, we live in the poorest.
You need a coalition of poor
Yeah.
I was
communities.
just gonna say, I mean,
Land,
the DESI thing a couple months ago, like there's structure for coalition in this.
Yeah.
really?
I mean, the thing that's crazy is that at the DESI hearing that happened, I mean, I don't know, that was like utterly demoralizing.
I was like, I don't cry, and I could have.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of people that came forward to say like, we can't do this
Yeah.
anymore.
But why, like,
Because
no, I know like why,
There's
but like,
more of
why are
them.
we not
Yeah,
organizing and striking and?
yeah.
people are trying, I had somebody come, just so you know, this was the town manager from, it was like Hadley, I think it was one of the H towns, she came up and she goes, she's like, we gotta organize along Route 2, you know, I mean, along 91. So get it, like, and I haven't called Gina Louise yet, but I thought, and just so you know, I'm like more than willing to do that. I hardly even sleep since I did this job. Anyway, I didn't tell you that. I'll try a little herbs and stuff. It's so much work and you're worrying and it's like 15 hours a day. Like I go home, I have 50 emails to write home, but I try to go to another meeting. I'm willing to go to Weston because it's terrible. And you know, like we have really good people and I feel badly like saying that because we have wonderful, wonderful dedicated teachers. They're at everything. And like the same, I haven't met it. Almost every single person that works in any part of the city, they're doing a great job, but there's not enough. And it's definitely not fair. That school choice sending and card, that should be free. I'm sorry. That there should be no charge for that. They should give that to us. Or we should ask Weston to pay it or Wells. Because it's not, how are they gonna, like, that's gonna be like an act of Congress to get everybody together and they're like, oh, let's all vote for this, where there's the least people, where they have to travel 2 hours to get to the thing, you know, to get to the State House. Why is that gonna change? I think you'd have a much better thing if you had somebody like me that went and said, I think you should adopt us. I think, do you know what the MMA conference in the spring? because I did a hiring freeze. I wrote to Adam LaChapine, you know, the guy that was in charge, and I said, are you doing any scholarships? He hasn't written back to me, but I'm gonna shame them into it. It's $400 and I'm not gonna pay it. You know, we have money in, you know, we set aside money. I thought we put a spending freeze on, so certainly the mayor wants to lead by example.
Right.
But I thought I'm gonna shame them all into it. I've written to Adam LaChapine, asked if there are any scholarships, and now I'm gonna write to everybody, Adrian Nunez, everybody whose name I know that goes to all those meetings that you saw, all the MMA people, and say, would you like your mayor to, you know, would you like the mayor in Western Mass? If the MMA can't play for it, do you think you could find a community that would adopt the mayors in Western Mass because they're broke? The cities in Western, not, you know, it's not fair. It is not fair.
I agree.
Anyways, that was the end of my lesson. And if you do want another time, I know that numbers are boring. I like them more than other people.
Oh, it's
I'll just
useful. It's
say this
important.
out loud.
to understand
If you
this.
want, and I'm gonna just say this in front of everyone, but I thought if you did want a little thing on the revolving funds and that enterprise, I'd come next month if you cared, but if. you
Yeah,
don't
no,
wanna
I
listen to me,
think
that's
that
okay.
as long as our agenda isn't packed for next month,
Yeah.
then I welcome it. And I think we have like a new committee and
Yeah,
new folks, and it's also just good for anyone who rewatches the Ways and Means Committee meetings and the public
Yeah,
yeah,
to hear
Or
this.
you getting into coalition with other mayors,
yeah,
rubber stamping that.
yeah.
Thank you both for taking your Tuesday night. I know there's a long night tomorrow too, probably, so.
Yeah,
Sleeping better.
Yeah, we're just.
I have to go to public safety before, because this is on the same night.
Tomorrow?
Yeah, this is the same, there's a lot of little scheduling conflicts with that. Because it's usually the third, so everybody else plays the fourth. So both, and
We
yeah,
moved it.
I actually said, I said, I get it, because it's February vacation, but there's 51 boards and commissions to schedule. And everybody goes Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday nights. So, and both fire and police chief are supposed to be at that, so I'm going early to 5:30 to the other, and I'll hopefully be at council by 6:30.
Okay, I haven't even looked at that agenda yet.
I haven't looked at it either, but now that you're saying it's long, I think,
Tomorrow's?
yeah, it's tomorrow's.
So long.
Yeah.
I just remember from chairs that it seemed like it was gonna be long.
It's gonna be horrible.
okay.
It's gonna be fine.
No, it's gonna be great, but it's like a lot of intense topics,
Yeah.
one after
We're
another.
gonna need candy. That's
Yeah,
all.
we'll need candy.
Yeah, some candy.
Thank you all for serving and for listening to this whole thing. And if
Thank you
anybody
for your
else needs
explanation. It's
Yeah.
helpful.
So much. I kind of get, my dad was an accountant. I get off on it. I like to find the numbers fascinating. I don't know why, but like that thing with the statistics, like numbers really tell a big story.
Yeah.
They have no poor people. They have no.
2%.
But they're not sending, one person leaves their town to go to another place.
And that's money they're not spending on warming centers or
Right.
No,
like community
we just-
services.
yeah,
or-
We don't have another, be like, I'm looking 11 to 3, there's not anybody tonight. I mean, 3 AM to 7 AM. Nobody's there. It's like, yeah, we got good people. They put their money where their mouth is. They're on committees and then they volunteer at the.
Right, we
warming
can't
center.
even pay the people to go do that. It's like. Yeah,
It's unbelievable.
I know.
Well, anyways, that's my happy story for the night. Thank you.
But
Thank you.
I will just say, like, even with all that, I love Greenfield.
Oh, I do too. I don't mean that. I
Yeah,
absolutely
no.
do.
I think that sometimes it's like, it's not an easy place to be. It's not an easy place to run a city government. It's not an easy place to,
Just set up to like fight each other,
yeah.
like.
I mean, I think this all the time with a kid in the public schools. Like, I'm like, I want my kid to have the best
Of
education.
course.
Like, and I look at even other schools that are close to us that have like all these amazing, latest tech tools, and they're doing all of these new things, coding and robotics and like all of these things that like my kid would love. And I'm like, I mean, thank God that we have the teachers that we have here that run the programs that they do and do what they do on like a shoestring budget, because it's just not
So
fair.
those are the schools that are nearby, they got 3 million from us.
I know, I know.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like that makes it easier.
We should just start like a letter writing campaign, like give it back.
It's not for you.
I don't think out here, I think we should start. You know, if you know anyone, like I know someone in Needham that's been on the select board forever. And I knew a couple, I should have picked Wayland, I had a
Oh
couple.
yeah, Cambridge. I know lots of Cambridge folks.
Right,
I know the mayor.
right. Could you please send some of
I'll
that
ask
back?
Stumble. Can you give us some of
That's
it
my
back?
little saga. Stephen, but thank you for putting that.
Oh, yeah.
He does the, like that, I would not, I don't know how to do that. I never know how to get him up on the television.
Well, thank you both. And is there, I don't have anything on here for new business. Oh, I will allow public comment if we have anybody who wants to give a public comment, because I thought this meeting was at City Hall, and so maybe other people did. Is there anything in the chat? Can you see?
Yeah, Stephanie, Ryan, I don't know.
It says,
Anybody-
has 3.
We're not gonna say anything.
They're not gonna say anything.
Okay.
Okay. All right, our next meeting is March 17th, 6 PM at City Hall
Okay.
or on Zoom, unless otherwise posted. And if I have a motion to adjourn,
Second.
all in favor?
Thank you very much.
Thank
Everybody show up in person tomorrow, so you don't have